Go.
All right.
Yeah.
What day is today, Jim? March. We're in March, right?
It's like the fifth or sixth or something. I don't know, man. I stopped keeping track of dates and months. I just know
Isn't
it's
it, isn't
cold
it great?
or it's warm,
Isn't it great? Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, here we are. We're the Purposeful Primitives, and today we're gonna riff on some topics. But I
Yeah.
think the first topic I want to riff on is I had some interested listeners go. So really, is there an overarching theme to this thing?
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, and I'm like, okay, so in 25 words or less, what do we bring to the party? I guess is what these people were trying to get at, and it's pretty easy from our perspective because we've been doing it for so long. Basically, my motivation my whole life has been physical transformation,
Yeah.
right? And I started as a what a 6 year old looking at hero comic books.
Yeah. A lot of people like that. A lot of people were inspired by comic books.
Superman, Batman, Green
Yeah.
Lantern, and what they all have in common? They all
Muscular
were
as hell.
muscled up with
Strong.
little tiny waists, doing
Alpha
superhuman
male.
stuff.
Alpha
Right,
males.
right, and always in the 25-cent comics and 15-cent comics, they would have like Charles Atlas
Yeah.
dynamic tension ad with this mildly muscled guy with the Brill Cream hairdo
Right.
and the leopard skin bikini.
With a
Remember?
girl on each arm.
No,
Yeah.
this one he was just by himself. He was kind of greased up and tanned up, and
You know what's funny? People wouldn't even think they would think, oh, he looks athletic now. Like there's like 50 people
at
at my
best,
gym that look better than
at
Charles
best.
Atlas.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh,
But
come on.
back then, he was like,
Now, now, a little later, Clancy Ross
yeah,
started doing a little bit. Now that guy had some real muscles. He was a real Mr. America. So anyway, my point being is that started the thinking, the yearning.
yeah.
Right. I didn't want to be what I was. So
Right. So you began the process of transformation.
I use that Albert Camus saying all the time. Man is the only animal that refuses to be what he is.
Yeah.
Good one, huh?
Yeah.
Right. That's good.
I sent it to my kids the other day, but it was something to the effect of each day you can begin anew. You know what I mean? You renew yourself.
Who said that? Pee Wee Herman?
Who the hell knows? I don't know. I try to inspire my kids all the time. I send them stuff all day long
Yeah, I
about
know.
being a man,
Yeah.
being independent, resilient, and I don't even think
Yep.
they read it. I don't think
Nah.
they read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, no,
Our old man is crazy. He's
yeah.
crazy. I'm
Oh, I'm
telling
talking.
you.
I sound a lot, but I that stuff, that kind of stuff always fires me up. And I was thinking when I started training too, I could never imagine.
Well, what
Like, I
what
think that's
what
just like
what
a thing
what
that you're
what
supposed to.
fired you up to do it?
I got beat there was a kid stronger than me in my class, and he was smaller than me. We
And
did a universal machine.
what was the report card? What was the tool? What
It
was
was a
the
universal
drill?
bench press.
Okay.
We
And
maxed in the
how old were you?
seventh grade, 1979. I don't know. How old
Okay.
are you in
Seventh,
seventh grade?
yeah, seventh
12,
grade. You're
11.
12, 13, yeah, something like that.
And he benched like 150 and I benched like 130. And I was so mad and self-embarrassed, like not I didn't show it, but that I was determined to get
So
bigger. So he started,
what kind of build were you?
I was
Okay.
stocky, but my dad wouldn't let me lift weights. There was no way he'd take me to a gym. He'd born in 1933, so they still thought that weightlifting stunted your growth.
And made you muscle bound.
It made you muscle bound and all that stuff. So I remember he had like a little weight set under his bed, and when he wasn't there, I'd roll it out, do some curls and stuff, and if I didn't put it back just right, he'd be like, "Have you been lifting weights again?" Like it was like, "Have you been smoking dope again?"
Wow. Right,
You
right.
know? I'd be like, "No, Dad." Meanwhile, I'm
He's
hitting a
like
double bicep.
put, he's like putting a hair on it to see if it's been
Yeah,
moved while
yeah.
you're gone.
And then I
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
screw it, and I just started finding different places to train and all that, and then he was fine with it eventually. But yeah, I wanted to be strong, and then I really wanted to be muscular. Really want, and I knew that they went hand in hand. I wanted to be super strong, but I wanted to look like Mike Mentzer. I wanted to look like those guys. So Davril, the guy who beat me in the bench press, he was really into bodybuilding. Wasn't into squatting, but he used to go to the boys club. Listen to this, Martin. They used to go to boys club in Langley Park,
I
and
know Langley Park.
yeah, and there was a group of old guys there, and they would teach the kids how to bench and do curls and presses. They didn't do any squats. There was no squats involved and no deadlifts, but it was like a YMCA or whatever. And Daryl said, "You got to go home with me." So, and learn from these guys, right? Because, my dad didn't know about it. So I got on the bus, only white guy on the bus, only white guy all day I saw was me. But these guys were so kind to me. And, we just bench press and curls, but they taught me how to bench and they were
In
real
Curl.
fired up. And they
Yeah.
all had real big chests, huge
Nope.
chests.
Were these grown men?
Yeah, grown men.
Yeah.
They were like there at the boys' club. So they had like a boxing
Yeah.
section and a
Yeah.
lifting area.
So you're the mascot.
Yeah, I was, yeah, yeah. But, and so that I remember
And
leaving.
they took you under their wing.
Yeah. But I remember leaving and I said, "Damn, Davro, my muscles feel different, man." And he's like, "That's the pump, Jimmy. That's the pump."
That's fun.
And so I was hooked, man. And I bought every magazine and, studied every word. They're
Well,
probably all
that's
written by the
that.
same guy.
Yeah, that was the next step. Is
Yeah.
like first, I guess the turning point was that my father was smart enough to get me the 110-pound Billard barbell set
Great set. A lot of people started off with that.
from Montgomery Ward's.
Gum rewards. Yep. In Wheaton Plaza, probably.
Yeah, that's exactly right, buddy. That's exactly right. I used to
Uh,
walk there 3 miles
yeah, you're
when
lucky you
I was
didn't
a
get
kid.
kidnapped like those girls. Go ahead. So
No,
you would walk, you got your 110. That
yeah,
came with,
yeah, and I
did that
couldn't
come with the
wait.
boots too?
Yeah, the iron boots. Remember the
Love
iron
it.
boots
That thing would be
and
worth some money.
the dumbbells that had the little sleeves and
Yeah.
the I guess they were iron collars that had
Oh
those
yeah. And it was all well
crazy.
made. All
Yeah,
well made. Yeah.
yeah. I don't get carried away. It wasn't all that well made.
Oh no.
But I couldn't wait. I used to dream about when I would be strong enough that I would need the 25-pound plates because they were bigger.
And this was a standard barbell, not an Olympic. Standard, right?
No, this is exercise, 5 foot exercise bar.
Right. So standard, yeah, with the
Yeah,
small hole.
but my father, he was an intellectual kind of guy, so he went to the Wheaton newsstand, and at the Wheaton newsstand, he would hang out. My father was a World War II veteran,
Mm.
and he would hang out with a World War One veteran named Alex Lissus, who owned the newsstand. Sunday morning after we drove to church,
Yeah.
he would stop at the newsstand and he'd get like, whatever Time magazine or, an Esquire,
Nice.
whatever. He was a reader, but
And-
we would get to hang out for,
Okay.
I don't know, 45 minutes, maybe an
Wow.
hour.
Wow.
Well, he's talking to the old man and
Yeah.
they're smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's unfiltered camels and shit. So, and my father always had a uniform like everybody else. He'd have a hat, a suit, shoes. If it was raining out, he put on galoshes
Cautious.
and he had the overcoat, and that was the uniform. That's what men wore.
Give me the year around
60,
1960.
1960,
Wow.
right?
What an Americans.
So
Great.
I'm a 10-year old, but I'm graduating. Well, maybe a little, maybe 62. So I'm a 12-year-old, but I'm graduating from the hero comic books. Now I'm looking up at the muscle rack with the
Yeah.
strength and health,
Yeah.
muscle builder, and Iron Man. Those are the three. Strength and health was, they're mostly really big on Olympic weightlifting, a little bit of bodybuilding. The bodybuilders are pretty tame.
Well, Hoffman hated bodybuilders.
Yeah, sure he did. And the whole magazine was, healthy America,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
wholesomeness, right? And
Have you
then
ever read Hoffman's World War One book that he wrote?
it's, it's all
It's
bullshit.
what?
It was all bullshit, Jimmy.
It was?
Oh, he was the biggest
I
egomaniacal
knew he was later, but
exaggerator on the face
oh
of the planet.
no.
Everything he said was just so exaggerated.
Because Jocko read his book on the air and was,
I
oh,
I know, and it's not good to speak ill of the dead, but that guy. Well, I don't want to get off. Don't
no,
pull me
no,
off.
no. But anyway,
I have Hoffman stories. I have Hoffman stories, buddy.
you
That
saw
I
him.
have,
You
yes,
saw
with
him.
my
Yeah.
own
But
eyes.
wait, don't
Oh
get
my
there yet.
God, no, stop it.
But let me ask you this. My dad thought it was weird that I was looking at men.
I know.
Did your dad think that too?
He was okay with it, but I was extremely embarrassed with like the rest of the world.
Me
Like,
too.
like,
Yes.
and the magazine was like 35 cents, right?
Yeah.
And I knew what day. I mean, Iron Man and Strength and Health and Muscle Builder all came out in different days,
Yeah.
and
Me
I
too.
knew what days they
Yeah.
came out.
Me too. At Dynamo. Yep.
And I would hoof it up to the newsstand. Wasn't that far? Maybe a mile and a half, But no one cared if we got run over or it didn't matter.
And there was no way you were going to ask your dad for a ride. He'd be like, "What? Walk."
Yeah. No,
My
I'm
kids would be
busy.
like, "Dad, please take me."
And he'd be like, no, I'm busy on the couch smoking a cigarette,
Ignoring
reading
you.
Time magazine, drinking wine.
Yeah.
What's your problem? Go eat some spam. See you later.
Yeah. See you later. That's right. So you had
Stay
those three
outside. I told
magazines.
you, and the thing was, you had to stay out. You have to stay out till wherever dinner was, 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you were
I'm like, what are
never.
you doing inside? What are you doing inside? There's no
What?
TV after school. Yeah.
So many of my, and I was a boomer, so we had hundreds of kids
Yeah.
everywhere. Kids were like mushrooms, right? But their mothers, some of the mothers would have like the infamous plastic over the couches and the
Sure.
chairs in one
Yeah.
room.
Yeah. Not allowed to go in that room.
Yeah, baby, plastic.
That was the
Oh my
Italian
God.
moms around me. There weren't many, but
Uh,
yeah.
so anyway, getting back to our tale, what are we about? What differentiates us? That's what started us.
Yeah.
And I got to a very high level very quickly. And I, like you, got mentored by grown men.
Mm.
And I won my first national championship at age 17. And so I've been at a high level very early on and maintained it and been in the deal ever since. But what happens in this, you start off in the strength game,
Yeah.
but at some point, in order to up your strength game, you got to go outside the strength game. So now you're talking about, well, we need to look at the nutrition.
Oh,
And we need to look at the fact that even though you can bench 500 for five, you can't walk up 4 flights of stairs without being gassed.
yeah.
Right. So you need to look at the cardio and you need to be a better, fitter athlete to be a better lifter
Yeah.
because the biggest, most muscular guys in the weight class are like 95% of the time the winners. Right.
Yeah.
So that leads you to the bigger thing is like, so, and we're not, strength athlete is different than bodybuilder. Bodybuilder is an entirely different protocol. right. That's a whole different world. They're not any strength gains in the bodybuilding resistance training protocol is purely coincidental.
But you know what's changed? Those guys back then, including Arnold, uh, competed and Franco, and they all
Yep.
did powerlifting. Like
I
Arnold
know.
did some powerlifting, and it was
Yep.
a big deal to be strong to them.
And they were
Nobody
big
cares now.
and and
Nobody cares.
and they were big as hell. And
Yeah,
as you point out, that a good case could be made that certainly in Schwarzenegger's case, that he built that size he was known for back when he was lifting.
in Graz, and then he just refined it with diet and a nice tan, and
Well,
uh,
also doing 700 sets a week,
yes, yeah,
six, 12 sessions a week,
yeah,
2 sessions a day, 6 days a week.
yeah,
That's also your cardio.
yeah. They didn't do any bike or treadmill.
No,
Need
no,
to.
they didn't. They didn't. But again, we do because it's important. Cardio is critical. It's not optional. And a lot of strength people think that it is, but it really isn't, uh, because there are just too many examples of guys that are just bull strong, but they are in bad shape
You can see it.
cardiovascular wise. And because of that, they're at risk,
Yeah, you
right?
just
And they get
cardio.
heavy, 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 heavy. And no matter how big you are, the human heart is the size of the clenched fist. Now, you can have a big ass clenched fist, depending, you know what I mean? If you're
Yeah,
O.D. Wilson, your
and the big
clenched
ass
fist
heart.
is going to be big, right? That's
Yeah,
okay, but that's it. And you don't want to be driving a 4,500 pound Cadillac Eldorado body around on a 41 cubic inch Volkswagen engine with 35 horsepower.
in the '60s and '70s, what did people just they went for jogs, or did they just not do any cardio?
No, no cardio. John Perillo was really the first guy to, hey, there was a big myth that cardio would destroy or waste muscle.
Yeah. Well, I think it
It's
can if you
true.
make it too hard. It's got
Well,
to.
if you're, as Marty pointed out back in the day, yes, that's true. If you're doing 5 miles a
Yeah.
day and entering half marathons
Yeah.
and living on 800 calories and, running is your thing. But for an overweight bodybuilder sitting on an exercise cycle for 30 minutes a day, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, you'll make it.
Somehow you'll struggle through without burning all that muscle
Yeah,
off.
you're not burning any muscle. You know
Okay,
what Rich always used to tell me? Rich Selke, Jimmy, I just want you to sweat. And
that's the damn coin of the realm, man.
yeah.
That's everybody else that talks about this ratio and that
Yeah.
and all this and that and
I'll be
that
like,
and
how
this.
hard should I go? How hard should I go? I just want you to sweat, Jimmy.
Sweat, man.
Just want you to
If
sweat.
you are sweating buckets, you are doing it.
First time I posed in front of Rich, I was thinking about doing a bodybuilding show, and he goes, "You got the muscle, Jimmy. You just need tons of cardio."
Right? Yeah.
Cardio.
And
Yeah.
you did. And you
Oh my
did.
God, hour a day,
And,
hour in the morning, hour at night.
and coordinated with the super, super, super tight diet. See,
Yeah,
and that's the nutrition thing, right? And again, be the optimal strength athlete, you have to pay real close attention to what you put in your mouth,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And it's interesting. I'm catching up. A bunch of smart guys are into the, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Life extension,
Yeah.
anti-aging.
Brecka.
So yeah, Brecka, he's good. He's got big arms. He got them arms, I guess, from doing some pumping,
Oh,
right?
I didn't know he had big arms. I never
Look, hey,
seen him.
check his arms out. Yeah, he's got big
Okay.
ass arms. He's like, oh, look at that. Oh, all right. It's Mr. Curl Tricep push down boy at the
Yeah.
Y. All
Poliquin
right.
was the same way.
Yeah. But Tia, Peter Tia, he wrote Outlive, which I really like. I like the science is very understandable and it's applicable to other stuff. It doesn't really anti-aging. You just do the same stuff that you do, when you're 28, but you kind of modify it in respect to your diminished capacities.
Yeah.
And it takes less to get results. When you're completely out of shape, it is so easy to leverage results.
When you're weak, it's all of a sudden you get strong. You could lift milk cartons and get strong when you're super weak. You know what I mean? Just make
I,
gains.
I consistently take the untrained, and within 10 weeks, we've doubled their strength. It's no
It's
big deal.
so,
It's no big deal because they're starting from nothing.
yeah, and it's so rewarding because the feedback is immediate.
Yeah.
And that's how it gets to be addictive. You don't make it too hard,
No.
show them gains.
High reps, multiple sets.
Mm,
Let's master this. Once we master that, okay, we're going to go a little deeper, or we're going to do a little, you know what I
mm,
mean? But that's the way I keep them safe with the high reps, stressing the extreme range of motion, which makes them weak as kittens.
mm.
But they can use the suspension trainer to give themselves forced reps initially,
Yeah.
right? So we can actually lighten their payload, allow them to do that super deep stuff. Anyway, this is
I asked about
part of the
cardio in the
equation,
60s and
right? You
70s.
got the cardio, you got the nutrition, you got the strength training. And again, there's the overarching psychological aspect that goes with this. It's like, well, motivation, momentum, the rhythm that you need to get into, the repetition, it's not discipline. Discipline is like willpower. That's like forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do. You can only do that so long.
Yeah.
This is different. You have to. It's a carrot and a stick thing. Is that if you do this harsh stuff, we're okay with that as long as we get the damn promised results.
Yeah.
Okay? We're that type of person. If it's hard, it's difficult. Okay, we'll do that, but don't make us do that and then have us come up short or don't deliver the results because we quit.
Yeah. But you
We've
keep
done
going.
enough of this to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
show us, give us your best, show us your best shot, and we would love for you to show us something we don't know, some new way to progress. Please.
Yeah.
We are scientists. We are not fundamentalists. The
Yeah.
fundamentalist resists.
Yeah. You got to have open minds.
You
Yeah.
don't want anyone. No, 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 no. We're fine. We don't need your knowledge. We're good over here, right? The
Yeah.
scientist is like, no, show me a way that you know blows up all my current theories, but it improves me.
It better be damn good though.
Well, that's okay, but that shit comes along periodically,
Hmm.
right?
Well,
And
I would
go
think
ahead.
as you get more experience, than little things. So I used to tell my staff, they'd be like, "Why are we going to this national clinic, man? We're not going to learn anything. These guys don't know anything." I said, "I bet you learn at least one thing. Maybe it's what not to do, but I bet
Right,
you learn at least one thing, and that's why we're
right,
going. That's
yeah.
why we're going. Because you can learn one thing, and if that makes you a better coach or that makes you a better lifter, it's worth it. We'll do all this." Uh,
I I belong to a really bad gym
yeah,
that had adequate equipment. So I would go there and do my thing. But Jimmy, I got so many articles out
yeah,
of watching their personal trainers
yeah.
personally train
Oh, they're so
in,
bad.
innocent civilians. And it was like, it was a never ending source of articles for Marty.
Yeah,
I could just riff and riff and riff and riff. And it's about, and again, you learn so much by watching the wrong stuff or making your own mistakes.
yeah. There'll be somebody teaching somebody something and they'll do it wrong and it's just like they're going to get hurt. And I'll literally go out loud and not even mean it. I'll
Oh,
go, oh,
oh, I know. You got
oh,
to, yeah, you got to keep your mouth shut.
it's bad.
My favorite was when they would have the out of shape, extremely overweight women doing walking dumbbell lunges across the floor, and every step they are ready to just topple
And the knee is barely, yeah,
one way
exactly.
or the other. No, they can't get the knee all the way
No.
down. But even then, they're like, whoa, whoa. And it's like they might as well be walking a tightrope over right 2 buildings.
Yeah, you know how
And,
sore they probably are because it's probably like their
and
first day.
and then the trainer. Now this was back in the day before phones. Back in the day, they would be staring at a clipboard rather than watching
Oh my God, that's
this person.
unforgivable. Unforgivable.
Nowadays, it's you. They look at the phone
Oh my God.
while the personal trainer. So anyway, so again, are what are we? Why do they call us the purposeful primitives? Because in each of these four areas, nutrition, resistance training, strength training, cardio, and the brain train, we loop people back around to the ultra basics.
Yeah.
Right. And they people get constipated, they get clogged up, they get so stuffed full of information that they become stagnant,
Hmm.
or they fall in love with a certain routine, a way of doing things. That's death. There's no progress in that. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we come along, and it's like somebody opened a window in a room full of cigarette smoke, because we take them right back to, hey, let's just squat, bench, and do overhead press. Hey, let's just eat organic food and get rid of all your highly processed stuff. Hey, let's do some basic cardio, strap
Hey,
up with the heart rate monitor, see where you're at, and improve upon that.
get some.
Hey, let's pay attention to get some consistency going in your routine, right? Because if you get rhythm, I promise you, within 2 weeks, you're going to feel better, because we'll detoxify you by getting rid of all the poisonous substances you've been eating. Immediately, they get people uniformly, they feel better.
Well, that plus the cognitive function of the cardio and the lifting. So the
Yes,
lifting with the hormonal release of whatever
yes,
it is,
yes,
and the
yes.
cardio, well, that's been shown. If you're more efficient and everything, you're the oxygen to your brain and you're
Plus,
smarter.
if cardio done right, you spike your metabolism,
Yeah.
right, and you stay
Everything's just more
elevated.
efficient. It's just
Yeah.
more efficient. You know,
And,
let me go
go ahead.
back way back to the beginning of like the first times that why you got into and all that. But I just want to relate this story. So Max, my 13-year-old, he's 5'10", 208.
Wow,
He's a
that's
big
big.
kid.
Damn,
He's strong and everything. So he's really into lifting. But
good.
his baseball teammates, a lot smaller than him, he wants them to come lift with him. Well, they need to learn how to lift.
Right.
So two things yesterday. One of them's about 105 pounds. One of them's 98 pounds. Okay, compared to Max. Max is twice as big. But the one kid I taught how to deadlift about 6 weeks ago. And then yesterday when he deadlifted, and I had the hardest time with his back, his low back,
First time.
hardest time to keep it.
First time.
Yeah. And the first couple times, he just
First couple
couldn't,
times.
people don't have a connection. There's this little kids, they don't have, they're 13. But then when he came down yesterday, his back was perfect.
Wow, that's
And I
great.
was like, oh shit.
Thank you.
That's that feedback and I got all
Yeah.
excited. And then there was another kid yesterday who I taught how to deadlift for the first time. He never deadlifted before, never ever.
Right. Right.
And we got his back. That's the hardest thing is to get that
Yep.
back position, where you have a flat back.
Yep.
And so I texted and he did great. He did great. And I texted his mom this morning. I said, any feedback from him? And she said, as
Oh,
soon as he got home, he took me down to the basement and showed me what he learned. That almost
yeah.
makes me cry because
Yeah, man.
that is the
Cool.
world that we extol for, of that's our world. And now he has a glimpse into it. And what if he keeps going and gets, it's just magic stuff.
Right. Right. Well, again, now he's got the, what did Bill Starr call it? You get bit by the iron bug.
Yes. Yeah. He would say that all the time.
And what is it that hooks you? Results,
Right away. And it's immediate
results,
with lifting. And it's the
results.
only way to transform yourself other than plastic surgery. And that looks like crap anyway. And the feedback is immediate. That's two things that make it so great as an activity. So great.
uh, it's been my experience that when you work, if you're a personal trainer and you take on a new client, particularly regardless of where they're at, you got about 2 weeks to manifest some sort of change
Yeah.
in them, right? And again, uh, it should be manifest if you get somebody to go from not doing this stuff or doing it incorrectly or doing it in a way that is no longer result producing. Obviously, they've come to you because they're stagnant.
Yeah.
If they're making fabulous progress, they're not looking you up,
No.
but they're on your doorstep seeking your advice because whatever they're doing is not working. That's what we know. So what do? Well, we want to institute the key to progress is instituting significant contrast. That's no matter what you're doing, slight changes or no changes at all. It's got to be something
Well, what do you mean by
way different.
contrast? What do you mean by contrast?
Doesn't matter. Pick anything, whatever you've been doing. Tell me what you've been doing. Oh, well, I do this and that and that and this and this and that and that and this and then this and that. Now, okay, how often? Well, 3 or 4 days a week. About how long? About an hour and a half. I don't rush it. You know what I mean? Got a little social thing
Oh, I
going on.
see. And then
Okay.
ours is so 180 to all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, okay, you doing cardio? Oh yeah, I do cardio. I ride the bike for 30 minutes before I. Okay, what kind of heart rate or any? I don't. You know, but I go hard. I listen to Metallica. I go. Okay. So okay, great. And you're eating? Oh, I'm on it. I'm on it. What
A
do you
lot of
have for
veggies.
breakfast? Well, I always start with a big glass of orange juice, and I try to stay plant-based and on carbs, and
Like my
so
doctor says.
yeah, and I eat often. I'm kind of graze all day long,
Yeah.
and okay, well, you're 35 pounds overweight. You're weak as a kitten,
They always say, you
and
know what they always say? I got the diet part. I got that down pat. How many times have you heard that?
yeah.
How
So
many times have you heard?
that's what I mean when I say contrast.
I eat well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, yeah. Or I'm good.
Yeah. I got the
I'm good
diet.
on that.
I
Yeah.
remember this one girl and I love her to death, man, but her butt is as big as this desk. And I was like,
Yeah. I know.
all right, we gotta get what you're eating like. I got it. I said,
Yeah.
okay.
No. Well. No. And you get what's your? Never mind. Let's just say
Yeah, yeah.
Debbie. 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 Okay. What do we know? Number one, we know you can deadlift 300 pounds. Okay. You're strong. Number two, you can play full court basketball all afternoon, no problem. You're great. You're injury proof. All right. So, what's that leave?
What's missing?
Obviously, it's what you put in your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. And they don't, no, I think I can do more court. No, you can't.
You can't
No,
outrun a bad diet.
no, you can't.
Somebody
You can
said
be,
that.
you can be fit as hell. You can be strong as an ox and still be obese,
Yeah.
right? You got to look at the NFL linemen. They can run up and down the damn field all day, and everybody benches 400, and yet they what 25, 30% body fat percentiles, and some of those guys.
Yeah.
So, diet, and in the bodybuilding world now, I think this is smart for them. Nutrition is the foundation.
Yeah, it's the key. I mean, yeah.
It's not the lifting, it's not the cardio. They do that. And they were the first ones to figure out hey, the ideal combination is nutrition cardio resistance training.
Like you always said, they're the world's best dieters. There's no
Yeah,
question. And they know
absolutely.
they're so far ahead of everybody else before it
Yep.
gets to the mainstream or it
Yep.
gets to doctors and research on how you're supposed to eat to get
And,
shredded.
and,
You know?
and you don't have to look at the bloated pros. Just stick with the all natural shows that you have in your neighborhood. You go to any all natural show held at the local high school, and every class winner, whether they're teen, open, master, up to 40, over 50, over 60, over 70, they're all going to have sub 10% body fat percentiles. I'm talking about the winners, the
Yeah.
place
Oh
guys.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, that you say that so easily. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, the rest of the world's like, what? You got
Oh,
guys
I know.
routinely over 50, 60, and 70 getting 10% body fat percentiles and staying muscled up. And they're going, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I called it it's this secret tribe of super agers that nobody's been aware of. And I wrote an article about it for Top Doctor magazine. I said, for decades, these people that defy age, male and female, go to the NPC nationals
Oh,
and look at the age winners and the over
oh,
60, over 70,
over 70.
and they look great. What are they
Yeah.
doing? Well, they're painting, and let's say they're not on diuretics, they're not on performance enhancing drugs. Let's just keep everybody all natural, and they all use this consensus. It's this combination. Now the specifics might change. The way you do your cardio might be different than the way somebody else does their cardio,
They're still
but
doing cardio.
probably fasted cardio too, right?
Yep.
Right. Now, if you're a bodybuilder, again, there's no strength. Nobody cares how much you can bench press. So you just inflate, 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 pump, 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 engorge a muscle with blood. To that end, you need a lot of carb in your system, right? A lot of glycogen in order to prolong those pumps. You're looking to literally just over time expand the size of the muscle like you were pumping up a bike tire with the,
You know what I
remember
wished?
the old pumps?
Yes. I wish that when I was powerlifting. So here's I did two ways. I just got huge in fat to get strong,
Yeah.
and that was 312 when I was 312.
But
I was stronger.
you pushed your raw muscle size up, man.
Yeah, I was fat. I had a lot of fat though. But when
Well,
I
yeah,
got smart with nutrition, I was stronger and I was 268.
yeah.
I wish I had eaten like that the whole time. I didn't do the 312 because I would have, would have been even better. But
You didn't know.
it illustrated to me how
You you didn't know.
no, I didn't know. No, you're right. I didn't know. And I had to have a couple more years of knowledge and studying and being around people in order to do that. But it
Pat
illustrated to me
Pat
how
Pat
important
Pat
nutrition was.
Pat Casey thought that if he did dips with a 200-pound dumbbell, 100 reps over an 8-hour period, that would improve his bench press.
No, real. I didn't know that.
Yeah, didn't work.
Yeah, but you know what? Those guys were the first guys on the moon. We
And
learned
yes,
from that.
yes, they were the first guys on the moon. And they asked him why, and he said, "I had to know."
Yeah. Yeah. Vince Caranda did a thing where he wanted to see if unilateral, like a one arm curl was as good as a two-arm curl. So he would do
Yeah,
20
that's good.
sets of 20 on the left arm or something to see
Yeah,
how engage his
yeah,
soreness and then do both
yeah,
arms,
yeah,
just
yeah,
to gauge the
yeah,
soreness.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. We still pay attention to muscle. I ask all my clients, "Okay, did you get sore? Where specifically?"
Right.
That's how we use a muscle targeting. Were we accurate when we worked it? Well, I was kind of sore up and
Yeah.
oh, you got to for your front delt sore doing your curls. You're raising your elbows.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right,
That's right.
right. Now, you didn't feel anything in the pecs with that new grip width? No, but my triceps were okay. We pulled the grip width in a little too far.
Yeah.
You got the triceps involved. Anyway, so we're experts at that sort of thing. But back to your point, you comboed it up. You did like power bodybuilding.
Yep. And that's how I train almost everybody. All those tier one guys, it's power bodybuilding because they want to look good too.
Yeah.
They want to look good, so they want to be strong as hell.
And if they're deployed, they got all the time in the world anyway, so why not?
Yeah. And then, but they, I know they want to, so there'll be squats, deadlifts, all that stuff. And then, well, we talked about this before. You want to makes a man especially confident, make his arms bigger. It's
Yeah,
simple.
yeah,
Finish a workout with arms.
yeah.
That's what
But
Frank Costello told me. I've told this story 1,000 times. He
yeah.
said, "You know how I got Maryland football in 1972
Hmm.
into lifting weights because nobody did."
Right.
He said, "I finished every workout with a lot of arm work, and they walked across campus, and people said, 'Damn, your arms are big. Wow, you look great.'" And it fed upon itself.
And how do you get the arms pumped up? You don't get them pumped up with singles and doubles and
Now,
triples.
you do some supersets and sets of 20.
Lots,
Yeah.
high reps, lots of sets, pumpity, pumpity, pumpity,
Yep.
pumpity,
I did it with my kids
back
too.
and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, go eat a bunch of carbs and you'll swell up like
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Kevin Levrone used to have his training partners eat like a half a pound of raw. Now it was cooked, but it didn't have any sauce on it, pasta
Oh,
before training. He said, "You better eat up." He says, "You're going to exhaust all your glycogen halfway if you don't." So he'd have him super compensate with glycogen heading into one of
yeah.
his sessions would last like what 2 3 hours, right?
I think they did because he took so much time between sets, so because he
That's what I'm
wasn't
saying.
strong. Yeah.
So he was having his guys eat up going into
Oh, what a
and then
freak. Yeah.
coming out of,
He's such a
right?
freak. Yeah.
He was very scientific, very smart guy. He was also a power bodybuilder. I think we could call Ed Cohn a power bodybuilder.
Those guys like being strong, man. They'll ask you how much, what's your numbers and stuff. Like Kevin, all those old school guys, man. It's just different now, but it wasn't, and even up until, no, I would say the 80s was the end of it. Well, Ronnie was so strong, but all those guys, Dorian was still deadlifting every back workout. Every
Yeah.
back. Now he used a different style and didn't touch the ground, but it was a deadlift, and and they 425 incline, and Kevin was doing
435, 435
435.
for
Kevin,
six, and then two forced.
right, and Kevin 5 plates on the incline,
Yeah.
and he would be do a double once in a
Yeah.
while because that's what he wanted to be. He wanted to be strong. He wanted people to say, "Damn, freaking Levroni's doubling 500."
Well, here's what we know in terms of that. Number one, we know that if you have a lot bigger muscles if you can deadlift 400 than if you can deadlift 200.
No question.
So therefore, what do we know? We know that radically increased strength, you will radically increase muscle size. Number one. Number two, we know that if you attack a targeted muscle and you pump it, 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 using high volume, a lot of frequency, that you will enlarge that muscle. No doubt
Yes.
about it. No doubt about
Yes.
it. So,
However,
can the two be merged? And a lot of the top guys say, yeah, they can. That we start every major exercise with the strength part,
yeah,
but then we do like Cassidy. What did Cassidy call them? His back off sets,
yeah,
or go to okay, so you work up to a big set of five in the squat, and then you do what, 4 sets of 10,
great.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or and then go to the hack, and then, well, you're not finished, then we're going to go do hack squats, and then you know what I mean, and then we could do leg extensions, and then you keep going.
So let me ask you this. And I've asked uh, doctors this, I've asked top bodybuilders this. How come guys like Dorian, Franco, not Arnold, Menser, they were thick front, aren't Ronnie? The front to back thickness is
Yeah.
different than the pumper front to back thickness. It's a some kind of like when you look at Dorian, you can tell that was built by heavy weights. Franco's
Correct. Correct.
was built by heavyweight. I don't, and I don't know if they're myths or what, but remember when Arnold posed, when he stood there, he looked okay, but when he posed, whoa, Arnold, Memenser, Franco, Dorian a little bit, but not as much. It wasn't this expansion. So is it because those other guys use a lot of reps and lighter weight, and these guys, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's right in the money. Schwarzenegger once had a quote that was addressed exactly to that. He said when you look at the powerhouse guys like Franco, like Joe Ladnier, like Kirk,
Viator.
when they're Viator, when they're standing around, when they're relaxed, he said, like Bill Pearl, when they're relaxed, he said they're incredible. They're like the most amazing humans you've ever seen. He
Yeah.
said when they flex up, not much
Not much
happens.
different. Not much different.
Yeah, and he said they mostly have tight fascia. He said you take a guy like me. He said now I walk around and everyone goes, oh, that's nice. He has a nice athletic build, right? He
Yeah.
said then I flex. He says I expand like a peacock spreading its feathers. People are flabbergasted. He said it's my loose fascia and my muscle expansion, and I
Mm.
thought that's great because that I had noticed that same thing.
I always
Not with
wanted,
me, not with me, but like with
right.
Kirk.
I'd rather look like that relaxed, look like that thickness than the
Yeah,
skinny guy, and then you open up, you know. But that's always fascinated me, man. And because Dorian is the anti-bodybuilder bodybuilder. He
yeah,
was.
and honestly, Dorian didn't swell up a whole hell of a lot when he posed up. I mean, he did, but he wasn't like Flex Wheeler did. Flex was
Oh
one of
yeah.
those guys.
And they
He
train
would
like
just
wussies, man. They train
Well,
so soft.
they would just expand and expand
Yeah.
and expand, and it's like wow, right? Paul Dillette from the front was amazing.
Yeah.
It's just when he turned around, his back was subpar. That's what let him down. That's what kept him from winning Olympias. Same way with Nasser El Sambadi. From the front, he was right in the game, but when those guys turned around, they were subpar. But getting back to the overview and the motive, the idea that results drive everything. I can't get away from that. That's even at my stage, my game at this point is retention,
Yeah.
right? Retention. But still, that's measured in concrete results, right? Because I'm comparing, like just this week, I'd been without a heart rate monitor for a couple of years. I was fine with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I got one. So I whipped it back on and I'm like, I wonder if I can get an 80% heart rate just walking around the neighborhood, but for 40 minutes.
Oof. You're moving.
Yeah. And now I'm lucky I have grade. So first
Yeah.
session, I came in at 38 something, 3802, and I came in at 77. Pretty good, right? It was rough. My legs were like, woo.
Oh, I bet.
So yesterday I went out and I came in at 43 minutes and maintained the 77. So I was pleased with that and said, okay, I got it, man. Now I can pick up the pace a little bit. I'm looking to come in at 80% for
Consistent.
3 longer sessions. I had purposely been avoiding that. They call that zone two.
Yeah.
It's so boring. But once I'm able to get outside, once I'm able to put some grade, some
Mhm.
music, all that, it's like all of a sudden, okay, now this is interesting.
Yeah.
But my game is let's replicate what we did last week, last month, last year. I'm not, no, I try to improve. I strive to improve,
Right.
but I
Well, rather than
know,
wait on the bar, which is not always
yeah,
something that happens, it could be. I'm able to stay at this heart rate zone for a certain amount of time, and I wasn't last week, and that's all measurable.
And it's hard work.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard. Yeah,
Yeah, it's you've got to stay. If you space out, if you start daydreaming, all of a sudden you look at your heart rate monitor and you're at 102. It's like, what? Right?
yeah,
It's like, all right, got to step back on the gas. Let's go. But that keeps you engaged. That keeps me engaged rather than allowing myself to have those spaced out. I don't want a spaced out cardio session. I
that's why
want
going
an
outside is
engaged
so
session.
good. That's why going outside is so good.
Yep, 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 yep. So, what are your thoughts on? I call it the. It's like the four disparate elements that are required in order to leverage real physical transformation. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I've always been after. No matter what shape my body was in, I wanted more, I wanted better, I wanted improvement.
Yeah, you got to always shoot for improvement in something, even if it's not weight on the bar. You can, and that's the thing about all this stuff, the cardio and the lifting and the nutrition, you can always improve and you can always measure something. You can
Yes,
measure something.
if you can convert it, make it numeric, it can be improved
Yeah,
upon.
that's right.
Body weight, body composition. What were you talking about? You were talking about before we came on, looking in the mirror,
Oh, well, we were talking about, you got the
perception.
weight
That
room, which is
that's
the
like a
essence of the
that's
whole
like a
thing.
psychological perception, self perception.
Yeah, I mean, your self-esteem goes through the roof when you start making gains, man. But I was joking because I'm writing an article about the things that come along with the lifting when you sort of get obsessed. And one of the
Yep,
things, finding the right lighting to hit a pose in. And
at
well,
the
I
right
put
time,
this in the article, but
at the right time of day.
it's got to be perfect. Like Max likes to hit my 13-year-old likes to hit his tricep pose in the door of my Tundra when the light hits it just right, you know.
At 11:15.
What's that?
At eleven
Only
fifteen
at
because
11:15. But if you go like in a hotel room, like the
yeah,
lighting in the bathroom is
ooh,
always really good. That
ooh,
soft
yeah,
lighting,
ooh,
you know.
yeah.
But
You
and it,
catch them in there. They're working their magic.
my mom used to say when I first started training, I never saw a mirror I didn't love.
Right. Well,
I
here's
was just like,
something.
I'm checking my progress.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
Here's something young Marty figured out that back in the ancient cars, like my father had a 1956 Ford, and then he broke down and he got a 65 Mustang. Nothing in between,
right.
right? So on the 56 Ford, so I'm like, I don't know, I'm 12, 13 years old. I've got a year or two under my belt, and I'm looking at pictures of Bill Pearl in strength and health, like with his side tricep, and it's like, what? That's incredible.
Yep.
Well, I figured out that the curved car window in the 56 Ford was like a circus mirror. It made your arms bigger.
Oh yeah.
So I'd go by and I'd flex up and, they'd be all bulging out. And I'd go, that's the way I'm going to look like normal
Oh,
next year.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. I used to be like, oh, I wish my arms would stay like this when you had a pump, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
They just
yeah.
stay like this. And how can I get them to stay like this?
Yeah, and then you tell yourself by keep repeating it, by keep repeating it. Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. One of the biggest compliments I ever got was I went in for my senior year of high school football exam. Remember, you had to get a medical exam,
Yeah.
and the doctor who hadn't seen me before, he comes over and he goes, "My God, man, what happened to the backs of your arms? Were you bitten by a spider? They're all
Oh yeah.
swollen."
All swollen. I
And
love that.
I was like, oh man, those dips are working,
Yeah, buddy. That made you want to get
right?
to the gym right then.
Yeah, I was like, I'm still talking about that compliment to this day.
Yeah.
Then I flexed up for him, and he like stepped back, right? He was like,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
think about it, man. There weren't that many people that lifted weights back then either.
No, no, no way. We were crazy. And again, because we were kids, the gains came because before we drove, we biked or ran everywhere.
Yeah.
We played outdoor sports all the time. We always had enough kids for full baseball, full football teams, man. Because your baby boomer generation, I mean, the guy, we had four Mormon boys live next door. You know what I mean? There was always, let's go, right?
Yeah.
Walk out my back door, and I had the guy who was the starting pitcher for the baseball team, and we would just throw the damn baseball back and forth, not say a word, just for hours, because we were bored out of our minds, nothing else to do, and we just throw and catch. And same thing with the football, right? Throw and catch, you throw and catch, you throw and catch, right? You might run some patterns, but that was why we were lean and tough, and we were eating. Remember TV dinners?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Saul's
Swanson's TV dinners.
Swanson's TV dinners.
Yeah.
Salisbury steak was my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, that was a
Right?
good one. I like the apple cobbler in there too. Or it was
Yeah.
cherry cobbler.
So see, with my father, it was just my father and my brother and me. So for us, it was like boiled hot dogs in Velveeta.
Your dad wasn't whipping up a casserole. Oh,
No, we were whipping up the hot dogs in Velveeta for him.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
was all right.
But
It
yeah,
was all
you're
right.
right. And
We
I
good.
often wonder what this generation, what they're going to be like, man, because they don't do shit compared to what we did.
Had
And it got
heard it.
less and less. You guys probably did more than we did. And
Well,
then,
I
you
heard
know,
an interesting comment. A guy was talking about my generation went to Woodstock, right?
yeah.
Michael Shriver said the day before, he said, I'm going to Woodstock. You want to go? I said, yeah. The next day he said, Anka Deckers has decided she wants to go. You're out.
You're not going now.
You're not going, baby.
Yeah.
I said, I don't blame you. Uh,
So your
but
generation
the
had
guy,
Woodstock.
well, and a guy said, take in 2025, take a look at the Woodstock movie. Nobody's fat.
No, I know.
He says just random gathering of 400,000 kids. This was not like some fitness jamboree. This is just a bunch of normal kids. He said they're not muscled up, but they're not fat.
There would only be like one fat kid in the school, and everybody knew who he was. It'd be like a big heavy kid. And you know what? He wouldn't even be heavy for today. He
Right,
wouldn't even be heavy enough for Walmart. They'd be like, nah, no, you're
right,
not even in the top
right,
10 in Walmart. But and then
right.
it'd be like one overweight teacher, really heavy, but and then everybody else is just regular. Everybody else just looks normal.
I, I think you have to lay it at the feet of the food fuel.
Yeah. But people are bigger now. Isn't that weird? Like the height and every people
I,
are just a lot bigger.
I haven't, we're sort of isolated out here, so I'm not seeing a lot of
Well, look at
humanity.
NFL players. Look at
Oh
NFL.
well, I mean, those
Look at
guys are
athletes.
those guys
Just
are they've never been better in terms of human selection.
yeah. How did they? Yeah, they're just. I mean, we didn't. There wasn't as many big people back. And well, Bill Starr told me a really good story. He had a guy from the Baltimore Colts, and he was training, and he trained him all summer. Didn't let him run. Just got him big, as strong as he could. Got him up to like 285.
Dude,
Like 250 the year before or something. And remember, now this is late 60s.
yeah, right. This
So,
is Johnny Unitas,
yeah,
Earl Morrall Colts.
end of United. Yeah, he was at the end of Unitas' career, Bill Starr, when he was there. But anyway, so he goes 3 weeks before camp, he goes, now you can run. And he had a better 40 than he ever had.
Right. But did he have any cardio?
Well, I don't know. But
I'm
well,
just saying,
remember,
sprint speed.
Marty,
I believe you. I believe you
training
on
camp
sprint
was
speed.
12 weeks back then. Nobody came to training camp in shape. They were
Right.
working as a liquor salesman,
Right.
and they
Right.
got in shape during camp. So
Yeah.
he gets
Right.
there the first day, and the coaches go, no freaking way.
Right.
You're way too heavy. Start losing weight. You're going to get weighed in every Friday. We want you at
And
260 tops. Lost all
and
that strength.
and he ended up just like everybody else.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I do submit that the
That,
training
I think
has
I
gotten
think that
better too.
that's changed.
Oh, yeah. You want them to.
because the freaks that slip through are the ones that dominate.
Yeah.
If that's the Bo Jackson, Jim Brown, Wilt Chamberlain, the
Right.
guys that are just from another planet, right? And they outline the possibilities, right? Or and then it might take decades, but nowadays these NFL guys, I mean, I saw some 300-pound guy run, I don't know, a four
Oh yeah.
840 or something.
Yeah, yeah. And they start lifting earlier.
Oh, they'd start doing everything earlier.
Yeah. But like I watched the old Dallas Cowboy games and Too Tall Jones,
Too
6'9",
tall.
265.
Yeah, right.
265.
I
The
know.
guy would be 340 now.
Right, right. Yeah, and uh, he was fine back then.
Oh yeah.
He was not smallish. He'd fit
No.
right in, right?
Everybody thought, wow, he's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, but that was, now you got to remember, now we're talking, if that was 75 and this is 25,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
50 damn years ago, man.
Crazy. Crazy.
And humanity is improved in terms of the 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 selection of the uber elite, right? That I don't think the uber elite have ever been better in terms of their physicality. You've never had taller, stronger, more muscular athletes ever. There's not some year, well, back in this,
Yeah, no.
1985, they were, no, they weren't.
Mm.
They weren't. Not compared to these guys. These guys are genetic. They're genetic freaks that have been trained and honed. And now you have 300-pound guys running sub five flat 40s. And you have 200, they had a 230-pound guy ran like, oh, I don't know, a 4.33,
Yeah. Crazy.
right? And the
Crazy.
verticals are, it's insane. And
Yeah.
you see, you see guys run and jump up on top of a 6-foot barrier. It's like, what the hell? Now, interestingly enough, the actual world records have not gone
That is interesting.
crazy.
Yeah, it is
You
interesting.
like, for example, look at the high jump record. The high jump record was a little over 8 foot, like 8 foot and a quarter inch. It was set by a Cuban. I think it's been like 30 years ago, Jim.
Hmm.
Um,
Wait,
look
is
at
that
this.
before fiberglass poles or no?
No, this is high jump, just high jump, baby.
Oh, not the
High jump,
not
eight
pole
foot,
vault. Yeah.
8 foot, 1/4 inch.
Wow.
A Cuban guy. That record has stood for like 30 years. Look at the sprint records. Yes, they have been improved on, but not by a lot, right? In terms of the gains in the sprints, the 100 meter, the
Really?
220, the 440. Yeah, they've been improved, but not to any significant degree. Um, in terms of lifting, Anatoly Pisarenko in I'm going to say 1980, might have been 1983, cleaned and jerked, within 5 kilos of the current world record.
No
And
way.
he
Really?
weighed, yeah, and he weighed 270 when the guy who holds the current world record weighs 360.
Is that the Iranian guy?
Now, I think he's like from Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan, one of the
Oh,
stands, and
yeah.
he's been dominant for a while. But we thought Vasily Alexiev cleaned and jerked, I think it was 567 pounds in 1976. And we thought the 600-pound clean and jerk was just around the corner,
Nobody's ever
right?
done it?
Now, the closest we've got is like, I think it's like 589, maybe 591.
Yeah.
That's it. And Pisarenko put up like, well, I don't know, 579, weighing 270.
Can you imagine
Right.
cleaning and jerking that?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
at that body weight, and he was
Yeah,
6 foot. He was
yeah.
6 foot. I
It's
mean,
ridiculous.
he was not dwarfish. You look at York Vardanian at 181 pounds, snatched 402. No one's doing that
No.
to this day. Not 181. Blagoyev at 198 snatched 436. These are marks that haven't been hit to this day. They barely moved the snatch record up. That was held by Krostov from Bulgaria. I think it was 483. I think the big guy moved it up to like 489.
Man, it's a lot of
But
weight.
just not a lot of movement. You
Yeah,
know
it's
what I'm
not. It's not.
saying? Not a lot of movement. And it's been, we're talking 30, 40, 50 years now.
And see, the problem with powerlifting is you can't measure it because of the equipment and all that
Right.
and the lack of. So there's a guy told me the other day, he goes, man, you got to check this guy out. He's the strongest powerlifter ever. So I went and looked at his films, and I swear to you, his squats are not even parallel.
Right.
You can't count that. You can't
No.
say that. You can't say that.
It's a
Just
different
do it
lift.
right. So now we can compare,
It's a different lift.
but don't call it
It's
powerlifting.
it's it's yeah, like Kirk would call it strength entertainment.
Yeah, I don't get. Yeah. They're like,
Well,
great job. Yeah, okay,
yeah,
so when is it not? Like when do you stop that? When is it 3 inches higher? Do you still say it's okay? And then
yeah.
if it's harder, can
And
you go a little higher than that?
and the answer is yes,
Yeah.
because everybody is happy, the lifter's happy, the fans are happy, the federation is happy because you've set new national and world records,
Yeah.
right? But did the judging,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, I think I
Now
saw,
you can also corrupt it with equipment.
yeah. Well, I
You
told you.
can you can get a monolift. A monolift makes every squat done on the monolift different than every squat that was ever walked out. Right
Yeah.
there, there should never be any comparison.
Yeah.
Just on that, if you use a monolift, great, but that's a
Different
monolith
category.
squat. That's totally different
Different
than
category.
walking a barbell out,
Non-walking out squat.
setting non-walking out squat.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the deadlifts again. Are you doing these lifts by themselves? Ed Cohn deadlifted 900 after squatting 955.
At 218.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you pull 900, can we please get you to squat 950 before you do that?
It's
Then
crazy.
let's see if you still have the 900.
Yeah, it's
Right.
crazy. And that will also speak because his bench was way over 5
Yeah.
and he had
Boy, I'm
long
not even bringing
arms.
up the bench. I'm not even bringing up the bench, but
I
I will
know.
say
And that was
this.
after doing the squat, man.
Well, and I will say this, and I would add, Marty was his coach that day.
Yes, I know.
Well, just to alert our listening audience,
Well, that was a seminal moment in
for
powerlifting.
me, it was a seminal moment for me. That was like coaching Michael Jordan during his greatest game.
Best is when Ernie France says, man, I got a kid that can total 2,000 right now, or something. He was like 148 or something.
And
When
he
Cone
only
first
left.
came up.
Yeah. So, but again, that's another of the corruptions is that
Oh,
if
the
you do
deadlift is,
deadlift, a
yeah,
deadlift only, that's that's different.
yeah.
And
Well,
particularly if
straps.
you
I can't
use
do the
if
straps.
a straps again, that's obvious. Also the whippy bendy bar
It's longer too.
and longer. So anyway, these are the things that I guess we would be considered like nowadays. They look at us and like these are guys who used to like lift club L's back in the 1920s,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the way they look at it. These guys, this is 2025, right? It's not 1985 anymore. It's like, yeah, you're right. Got to cede to that, but I can tell you that those were how the lifts were done back then, and I think the physiques bore it out.
Mm.
Right? You look at the physiques of the lifters back then; they were some monsters. And I'll tell you something, most everybody I knew, and I knew most of the heavy hitters, they did not abuse or stay on drugs, right? The part of the deal was is that you would get as strong as you could in the off season,
Yeah.
off the stuff,
Mm.
wearing as little as equipment as possible.
Hmm.
That way, when you put the equipment on, when you got back on some gear, it meant something,
Your body
right?
exploded. Yeah.
Right. But the goal was always once you came off a big meet, a regional, a national, a world, you got off.
Mm.
And yes, you were weak, right? But that's okay because it's the off season and you're building your off season strength. You're giving your body a break because you can't handle much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you're all rawed out. You don't
Oh,
have no
sure.
knee wraps. You don't have no belt. You don't have nothing, nothing, nothing. And you might do maybe instead of conventional deadlift, you do your stiff leg deadlift off 100.
Yeah. Do you change it up?
Yeah, or maybe some rack. What was it? Brad always liked the rack lockouts. He would
Yeah, I
alternate, I
did
think,
tons of rack deads. Yeah.
rack lockouts and so. So that's the time that you would do that. And the squat, maybe you do some super deep squats. No, we're not going down to an inch below parallel. We're going ass on heels. Make it crazy hard.
I would
It's
try to
going to
hit like rep records at lighter weights.
rep records at lighter weights, right? Exactly. Maybe multiple sets,
Yeah.
right? Right. So, but that's the contrast because you
Right.
want to get away from because by the end of a powerlifting competition, you're scraped back to you're doing squat, bench, and dead, and that's it, buddy.
Yeah.
You're
And you're gonna
not
get
you're
hurt.
not doing a lot of other stuff because it's a one times one competition in three lifts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
No, you're right.
so that's the pendulum swing. Every program, every cardio regimen, every lifting regimen has a shelf life,
Yeah. And every
and you might,
diet.
yeah, every
Every,
diet,
yeah, that's why I love the seasonal plan. That's great.
yeah, you might love a program to death, but are you just going through the motions? Then it might as well be bowling or playing
Yeah,
golf or
it's not worth
tennis
it then. Why even be there?
because they like it
Yeah.
and they
Well,
can
it like,
use the same, and Tom and Jimmy and Bobby are there, and you know what I mean? And everybody does the usual benches and arm work and woo, and no one ever does any leg work or back work, or maybe
yeah.
some pull downs. We like pull downs, and then you leave.
Yeah.
And you do that often and you get up to a certain level and you never progress, but you're okay with that because you look good in an Izod shirt at the golf course.
Polo. Yeah.
Polo. Yeah. Yeah. Remember the Izod had the crocodile, right?
Yeah. Or alligator.
Yeah.
They were
Alligator.
big.
Alligator. That's what it
You
was.
had to
Yeah,
have
the
your members
alligator.
only jacket though.
Members only jacket. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. That was the disco era. A lot of plastic shoes back then too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And polyester. All right.
Polyester
That was
leisure
good.
too.
What else?
Nothing. What are you reading? Anything worthwhile?
Journal of a Trapper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was, and still a Vietnam book. Um, I gave up on the one fiction because I didn't respect the lead character. He doesn't
Right.
lift, he doesn't hunt, he doesn't fight. He's just a guy. So it's like,
Right.
yeah, I can't do it. I gotta have somebody somewhere in the book that's a
All
man's man.
right. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again. You need to get Fields of Fire by James Webb
That's
because
what I read that.
that is the best. He draws the best characters. Webb does and these are they do have one lieutenant. These are Bush Marines, and
I read
the
that,
lead
I
character
think.
is a guy named Snake. And
I'll
Snake's
write it
like
down.
from some ghetto in Cleveland, with his mother on welfare, and but he's an incredible soldier who, and the whole thing is just so well put together, and the characters are so strong.
Yeah.
But Webb was there, right?
Yeah.
He was that lieutenant, right? And I think he did multiple tours and he got medals, but he was a real guy. He fought Oliver North for the Naval Academy boxing championship
Who
his
won?
senior year. I believe he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember Fay
But
Hill? What was Oliver North's secretary? Faith Hill? No,
Faith Hill,
no,
yes, Faith
no,
Hill.
that's the
Yeah, is
singer.
that right? No, that's the singer. Faith somebody.
She was sort of hot.
So all right. So anyway, that's it. I think you ain't seen anything worth seeing, have you?
Did you watch that Western about the lady and the little boy, and then the guy takes some primeval? Primeval.
No, is it worth watching? I've
Yes.
seen it. It
Yeah,
is
it's worth
worth watching.
watching. Yes.
Okay.
Worth watching.
Yeah. That's like an ongoing series, right?
It may have been like 3 episodes or something.
Okay.
I can't
All right.
remember. But it's good. It's that Mountain Man era.
And what's that on? Is that a Netflix
I
thing?
think it's Netflix.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get on that today. So, all right. I think we wrapped it
Yeah, that
up
was
pretty
good.
good,
No, that was
Jim.
good. I like that because it explains what we're all about, buddy.
Yeah, and just one more time, we have to differentiate ourselves some way, shape, or form. And I really do believe that it's that this idea of reintroducing folks to the ultra basics that in a lot of cases they never really learned to begin with.
Well, they didn't
You
learn from
know, so again, if you get clogged up or you get to a position where the results don't aren't happening, spin back to the least, to the that's the everyone talks about Occam's razor. The clearest description of Occam's razor is this: when confronted with two systems that deliver equal results, pick the one with fewer moving parts.
right.
Okay.
Simple.
So when you get clogged up, things aren't happening, go back to the one with the fewest moving parts, fewer things better.
Yeah, that's right.
Love
Focus on
that.
doing those little, the fewer things
Fewer,
better.
fewer things better, lighter weights heavier.
Become a
So, all right.
master. Yeah. All right, great, man. Let's do it again next
All right,
week.
buddy. Yes, sir. We'll think of something. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.